the NPCs, like the non-player characters, right? So the NPCs are being disrupted by the ultimate NPC by by AI, like
Yeah.
so says Balaji. So like the AI is the ultimate NPC. So and it's disrupting NPCs, like so people who are actually like writing or creating based on some kind of script, like very easily kind of understandable script. So like Balaji calls it the school of fish strategy. So like it's basically kind of, if you are running some kind of, let's say, tribal script. So if Trump says something, so you are saying the opposite thing. So and when he changes his mind and he's saying the thing that you were saying before, now you are like changing your content again. So this was like with the vaccine thing, with the lockdowns, with COVID being just the flu, and then it was like super dangerous.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Mtambo Days podcast. My name is Jakub Mtambo, and today I have the pleasure of sitting down again with Jakub Simek, a co-founder of Wezesha DAO and an author of Wisdom Enterprising. Jakub just published another new article on blue checks, the new blue collar. Jakub, thank you for joining me again on the podcast.
Hi, Jack. It's good to see you. And let's discuss again our daily Balajism. So I'm happy that we are doing this series and the second season. So yeah, blue checks are the new blue colors, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, Jakub, you recently wrote an article about the implications of our current AI summer that flipped our previous assumptions. Many people thought AI will give us self-driving cars sooner and disrupt blue-collar jobs like trucking. However, you argue that traditional journalism and the downstream media are more prone to AI takeover than truckers. Can you tell us more about your perspective on this?
Right. Yeah. So like many of these technologies like AI, they follow this kind of like hype cycle. It's even called like Gartner hype cycle. It's like some famous graph around it. And so there is always some kind of like a valley of disillusionment and some kind of, it's always some kind of hype, then it goes down and there is some kind of valley. And some problems, especially if they are in the physical world, are more difficult or intractable, or even or like almost intractable than was previously thought that it was like, okay, people thought we will have self-driving cars in 5 years, and okay, or I don't know, 2 years, and it's it's getting much more difficult. And often, okay, there is this kind of mental model, like it's easy to get to like 95% or 99, but the last 10% or 5 or the last 1% is like very hard, and it takes many years, like let's say to have it like so it's like 100% accurate. But there is also another kind of viewpoint on it. Also, Balaji shares this viewpoint that probably like our legacy infrastructure is like not ready for self-driving cars. If you have like a special innovation zone or like specially built roads for self-driving cars, then it's like much easier to have them. But if it's not, then it's like difficult to retrofit the old legacy infrastructure for these like new self-driving cars age. And another aspect like related to these like blue checks on Twitter versus blue collar workers idea is that in the physical world, if when the the robots are interacting, let's say, with like door handles, door knobs. It's like very difficult for a robot to like actually, like, I don't know, open a door handle, which is like for us very easy. So that's the paradox. Like some things that are for us very difficult, then it's easy for AI, for an AI or for a robot. But the things that are like pretty easy for us, are difficult for robots, like to orient themselves in the real world. And so yeah, previously people were always like thinking about like these low level, like a low skill job, so-called low skill jobs, or manual kind of labor, that these will be like automated sooner. But with these new types of LLMs, large language models, and these like transformers, like it seems like it's kind of getting obvious by the day that actually it's the white collar jobs, and especially like lawyers or journalists. So like that's like the meme or of blue checks, on Twitter. It's like some kind of institutions, like legacy institutions, or journalists who got these like blue checks. So it's like kind of a status symbol of some kind of like intellectual elite. And this could be disrupted sooner than trackers, actually. It's much easier for them to disrupt. It's not given, because they might actually protest, and they are protesting, like the Netflix employees are protesting, or I don't know, some like other creative industries will be protesting, lawyers will be protesting, there will be some lawsuits against, like, I don't know, Stable Diffusion and others. But it's yeah, I mean,
so another example could be like the chat GPT times. We see that AI is capable of producing high quality journalistic content that is comparable to human written articles, right?
exactly, because first of all, it's like when you there are so many factual or grammar errors in today's articles, like just written by humans, like, I don't know, during COVID, like the narrative was flipped, got like it changed many times, depends on the mood of the people. Or let's say if Trump was saying something, so the traditional media were saying the opposite. So when he changed his viewpoint, also they changed. It was like very tribal. And also there are like a lot of mistakes, like typos, because like it's like it's like very fast, very competitive industry that they're producing clickbait just to survive. And actually, yeah, I mean, AI can produce clickbait, or just like some kind of like NPC, like non-player character kind of content, better than journalists, and definitely faster and cheaper. It can like just. It doesn't need to sleep, it doesn't need to eat, and it can produce like articles like, I don't know, in a couple of seconds or something. So.
That's fascinating. And you also mentioned about the blue checks on Twitter. Mostly journalists and legacy institution who lost their status when Elon Musk took over the social media company. Maybe, yeah, can you explain a little bit more about this?
Right. So yeah, I mean, so Elon kind of democratized these blue checks. You can get a gray check, which is like $1,000, I think. It's like for institution. Like I think when you
It's
check like
I think gray check. It's for the leaders.
okay,
And then
or
the gold,
sorry, or
the
golden.
gold one is for
Okay,
the
okay.
institution.
Thanks, thanks for the correction. Yeah, so the golden one, and I think it's like $1,000, right? And it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
then you have like a badge of your company or something. So like All In podcast has like this I don't know, All In badge there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, so that's what Elon did. I mean, it's like
Mm,
it's his company; he can do what he wants, you know. So it was like, I'm sure he enjoyed it, you know, doing this. And oh, yeah, I mean, they need to pay as everyone else, you know. So
mm,
yeah, there's like I don't know, $8 or how much. Yeah, I'm paying it, you know, so as well. So yeah, it's like now everybody can have a blue check. So it's
mhm.
good. Yeah, so they were
Yeah.
disrupted, but like they might become the new blue collars, meaning like also that you know there is not enough in many markets or many economies like in the US there is a lack of like service type job, you know, there is lack of labor force or the it's not enough
Mhm,
yeah, there are many job openings, and it's not enough people are actually, yeah, a lack of talent or lack of people who actually are willing to work in these service jobs,
mm.
service type jobs. So if like the journalist gets disrupted, they can actually, yeah, I don't know. They actually
S-
might they might need to learn how to how to become a tracker, you know, or something like that. Yeah, as I mean, it might sound funny. It's like, but it's not. Of course, it's not funny when someone loses their job, and mm, but it's yeah, it's possible that this will happen, and but not just to journalists or lawyers or like I don't know, some kind of analysts or middle managers at various companies, but it's possible, you know, like.
Mhm,
Even
mm,
during the last financial crisis in 2008, and you know there were some stories, let's say, about like a banker who went and you know like he needed to find some job immediately, you know, because he had some payments, some checks to pay, like so he found a job like actually in a restaurant they used to go, you know, like he used to go with his colleagues, so and he was just like working there, you know, so it's like sometimes you have to do what you have to do, so but it's also like one of these aspect, like so the
So
blue
it's like,
collars
so
sorry, yeah, yeah, they might become like the blue checks are the new blue collars, like they might also actually work in these like kind of blue collar jobs, yeah, or might start their own businesses, well, like why not, you know. Yeah.
so it's like you say like a telescopic morality is not enough, especially when we have access to dark talent across the globe that can now use ChatGPT to sound just like Western Journal and deliver better work than PMC.
Yeah, yeah, right. So like because like this PMC is like professional managerial class, like they often like feel kind of sorry for people, let's say in Africa or I don't know, Latin America. They like they treat them like the other, the big other or the other who needs to be like supported or helped by, let's say, some philanthropic efforts, but in a certain time they might or in a certain way they might feel threatened by actually the other or by the dark talent, as Balaji calls it. Like he has this concept of a mobile telescope. So it's like the Hubble telescope is like looking for dark matter, and the mobile telescope is looking for dark talent, like a hidden talent, you know, global talent all around the world. And now actually like through Replit, people are coding on Replit like actually using their mobile phones in India, you know, like I don't know, it's like 100,000 people or at least 50,000 people a day or a week, I don't remember, but like are actually coding on Replit on mobile phones. So it's
Yeah.
like it's quite interesting, you know.
Mhm,
So what you can do with a mobile phone. And so, and Balaji has this idea like where there is a phone, there is a job, you know, or like a phone is a new franchise. So it's like it's enabling people. It's like wezesha, you know, in Swahili means to enable. Yeah. So, but like mobile phones are enabling people mm, to join like the global economy, or as Balaji calls it, the pseudonymous economy,
mhm.
because on some services, even like let's say on Replit, they can even under they can work under a pseudonym. So yeah, I mean, this is the new era where let's say a girl in rural Kenya can actually produce an article that is on par with, let's say, some guy from Brooklyn who is writing for a legacy media institution or for people who are employed by some big Hollywood studios, you know.
Yeah.
So it's it's almost there, you know. Like, okay,
Yeah.
the movies, the AI movies are still kind of are not there, but I think we will be soon there. But like a written article plus a photo, you know, you can, or some kind of design work, it's like definitely you can do it, you know, and you can write it in a certain style, and it's really, it's like the npcs, like the non-player characters, right? So the npcs are being disrupted by the ultimate npc by by AI, you know, like, so
Yeah.
says Balaji. So like the AI is the ultimate npc, so, and it's disrupting npcs, like, so people who are actually like writing or creating uh, um, based on some kind of script, like very easily kind of understandable script. So like Balaji calls it the school of fish strategy. So like it's basically kind of, you know, if you are running some kind of, let's say, tribal script, so if Trump says something, so you are saying the opposite thing. So, and when he changes his mind and he's saying the thing that you were saying before, now you are like changing your content again. So this was like with the vaccine thing, with the lockdowns, with COVID being just the flu, and then it was like super dangerous, and you had to have like prolonged lockdowns. Then there were some politicians who were saying like they will not take the Trump vaccine, and like let's say half year later they were like pressuring people like to take, I don't know, it's like to make the vaccine compulsory. So it's like there were like a lot of these kind of flippenings and changes in attitudes, or like the masks don't work and then you have to wear a mask all the times, you know. So it was like
Yeah.
yeah, but if you are just like basically just like producing this type of content, which is like this school of fish strategy, then you will be disrupted by an AI, you know.
Yeah.
And like maybe back to your point with Chat GPT, I mean, it's like, or sorry, the GPT Times, it's like the New York Times. So actually, it was done by Replit. I think it was like some Replit bounty, actually sponsored by Balaji, and there was a guy who was like on a day 85 of his 100-day
Of
coding
coding.
challenge on Replit.
Yeah.
And I think his name is Eric. I don't remember like the, yeah, but the guy was like, yeah, I mean, he created in probably in a day or something, using yeah, Chat GPT, and like and Elon's tweets, and it's kind of like, I think it took like one or two tweets and it created like a whole article based on those tweets. So, and it's
Yeah.
in a style, and it has actually, it had like a graphical style of the New York Times, and like the design, yeah, and also the I think the kind of the writing style was like similar. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a cool project. Like for it's just like a kind of like a demonstration that you can disrupt traditional media, because yeah, I mean the AI can disrupt in them because they have a certain style, like a kind of, it's like a monoculture, and it's also like it's a heavily editorialized, so it's kind of like it's taking away the spirit and the of individual writers, and like the soul of individual writers and the style, because it has a certain like I don't know, you know, for example, The Economist has like their like writing guide. So it's like, you know, if you are writing some you know, you know, so for example, definitely it can take the job of editors, you know, because I don't know, I saw this demonstration of or another kind of use case. You know, there was like some, like it's almost like a drunk kind of like prompt, you know. It was like very like kind of lots of typos, like kind of just some kind of slang, and that was the prompt, and then and the prompt also included like write it in some kind of like scientific style and this and that, and so and I think it was like GPT-4, and it produced like I don't know how many pages of like
Wow.
scientific text from just like I don't know, like 2 or 3 sentences, or like just like of almost like rubbish text, so
Yeah.
so it's possible. Yeah, it's like yeah, it's crazy, like crazy times. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so that's the idea.
I think
Yeah.
that's a very sobering thought, Jakub. But what about the ethics of centralized AI? Balaji believes that it's inherently unethical because the box diversity of the WASP establishment and the weird people with legacy credentials cannot make up for the true diversity of global tech and media talent. Can you maybe expand on this idea too?
Yeah, okay, sorry. So it's like it's kind of like a mouthful. So it's okay, the WASP is like white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. So it's like, that's the elite in the US, like the historically, like
Mhm.
they were like the oppressed people from the UK, like Puritans. They fled and they became like the old elites. So like, that's the WASP, the white Anglo-Saxon uh, Protestants. But the weird people, it's also like an abbreviation. It's like Western educated, rich, democratic something, like countries. So it's like okay, the industrialized is also the Y there. So yeah, so like therefore, like the weird meaning, like the majority of world is actually it's not it doesn't belong to the West, and it has like a bit different, like they don't have the first world problems, so it's like everything is like evolving around the US and their kind of culture wars and stuff, but like there are many people around the world who have like different priorities. And as Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie once said, like there is a danger of a single story, let's say, like portraying Africa in Western movies, in the Hollywood movies, as just like, let's say, a place that is like full of poverty, So like, and instead of like, I don't know, portraying it as a place full of potential. So of course, like that's like basically the idea that it's dangerous to have a single story and to have like a single narrative. Like there are many narratives that are actually true at the same time. Like I don't know, you can say that San Francisco has like has produced like lots of great technology companies, but it has also like a crazy overdose epidemic, drug epidemic, and street crime. And so it's like also a crazy town. You can produce like many narratives about like one city, like, and they are all true. But with, let's say, like a centralized AI is inherently unethical because it doesn't allow, let's say, a girl in rural Kenya mm, to use it efficiently for I don't know, creating stories about her own, let's say there, in Kenya you have like 42 tribes, right? And
Yeah.
then there are some sub tribes, and so it's like much more complex than, let's say, the US kind of like view on diversity. Then you have like, I don't know, it's just like of how they treat ethnicities, like it's just like kind of also quite racialized. And so like, let's say you want to create like you want to have let's say some decentralized AI, like stable diffusion and also some various models. So when, for example, it can kind of like help you to tell the story of, let's say, your kind of like memetic tribe, or your like tribe from your region, or tribe of people who believe in the same kind of ideas, I don't know, around technological progressivism or longevity or whatever you want. but it shouldn't be just like this kind of false diversity or like kind of false diversity, let's say, of just like what you see in Hollywood movies, because it might not be useful for you when you are creating a story, let's say, based in Kenya or in Slovakia. It's just like we don't have the same kind of look at even the population and even like the problems or the same kind of like ideas and ideals, and we don't, or sports or whatever you want. It's just like we have different culture, and different cultures can coexist, and they should like respect each other, and so therefore it shouldn't be centralized, because it's like then it would be creating some kind of like a monoculture. So yeah.
I see. Okay, as we wrap up this podcast episode, can you explain what you mean by telescopic morality? And also, do you
Okay,
think
yeah,
people are not budgeting for the AI as Balaji suggested?
right. So okay, so like let's say these like PMCs, like professional managerial classes, let's say some middle managers or like these journalists. They are they're often like I don't know, virtue signaling or like showing some kind of like attention or giving attention to let's say some events that are happening on the other side of the planet, like I don't know, like the Israel versus Palestine. It's like the prototypical example, and that's like the telescopic morality. Just caring about like people in abstract, like on the other side of planet, and like being like emotionally involved in their conflicts, let's say their local conflicts, like I don't know, Palestine versus Israel. Not so many people maybe care about like Eritrea versus Ethiopia, or the Tigray. Probably nobody is like taking sides there, which might be, I don't know, maybe good, maybe bad. But like, let's say everybody has opinion about the Ukraine war, because it's like it's been there are like it's huge in the US media, but like let's say the Tigray conflict, nobody has like strong opinions about it because it's not present in the like in US media or Western media that much anymore, or it wasn't even like it wasn't like peaking, but the Ukraine was like hitting, I don't know, like 100 points, or what is it, a percent on the Google Trends. It was like yeah, and
Yes.
Balaji has this idea that it looks kind of like like crypto, like pump and dump, so that's it's like he has a like idea of like a social scam, the financial scam, but it's like a pump and dump kind of thing, because it's like everybody's caring about it, like the whole world is caring about something like for a couple of days or weeks, and then it kind of like goes down, and like nobody cares about it anymore after some time.
Yeah,
But
but
like this more, yeah, but the telescopic morality is something like you are caring about the other on the other side of the world, which is good, it's okay, but on the other side it's like uh, it's like you can contrast it with some kind of, let's say, local things like helping your neighbor, so you're helping, let's say, someone on the other side of the planet, and not just helping, but you're just like virtue signaling that you care about them, but you are, let's say, not helping your neighbor. That's like the idea of the telescopic morality. But in this case, let's say some people might have strong opinions about Israel versus Palestine, but let's say like with Replit founder, who is like a Palestinian born in Jordan, you could actually yeah, you could have this like another idea there, which is like not telescopic morality, but let's say the mobile telescope, like people working with coding on their mobile phones using Replit, and so suddenly the people from the other side of the world, the big other or something, they can actually disrupt you, because, or take your job, even if you were thinking like, okay, you are the rich elite from Brooklyn or from Hollywood. You are like the legacy journalist, based working in the downstream media, but actually now someone from actually the actual Palestine, right, or let's say Africa or Latin America can take your job, or or reduce your cultural influence, or the influence on the discourse, because they can tell their own stories, and what is important here is like the story can sound, it can be written in the same language as like very professional journalists. It can, as I said, the example of like someone kind of using almost like a drunk language, and the AI is changing it into a scientific paper. And so in this way, it's also like you can also like use AI to sound like, let's say, have some like British, like some kind of posh accent or something. You don't need to have like Slovak accent or Nigerian or Kenyan accent. So like, it's like AI is giving you like new clothes, something like that, or even like you saw this demonstration of some kind of like AI filters. So like suddenly you are speaking as a cat or something, using like some kind of Zoom filter.
Actually, there's another one I saw, or I heard about, Jay-Z, there's a song by Jay-Z, but it was AI based. And also we saw the pictures of also Pop wearing the designer jacket, so
Okay.
those
That's
are
funny.
like two great examples.
Yeah, let's see what the future will bring, but that's the idea. So the telescopic morality, it's not enough, but when you have a mobile telescope, and when you have AI, and actually you can employ those people, if you care about those people, let's say, you can employ them, or you can give them a job, using Replit, Replit bounties. So that's the idea. Yeah.
Absolutely. While we are currently experiencing an AI summer, we need to prepare for the AI winter, which might lead to a backlash from blue checks who fear losing their jobs and status. And also maybe lawyers and journalists will not lose to AI without a fight. But we can prepare for this by creating more decentralized and user-aligned system that are less more prone to disruption. Thank you for sharing your insight with us, Jakub. It's been a pleasure having you on Mtambo podcast.
Thank you, Jake. It was great talking to you.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. We hope you enjoyed the conversation with Jakub Simek. Please don't forget to subscribe, give this episode a thumbs up, and be sure to come back next week for another episode. Until then, this is Duke Mtambo, and don't forget to do good always.